The movie I did for my film project was Gangs of New York. I really enjoyed this film. Between its intriguing story, the neat cinematography, and the crisp, clean costuming and the setting. Even though Gangs is a revenge tale, and therefore it's going to share many similarities with many Elizabethan revenge tragedies, except for ghosts and death of the Avenger. This film stars Leonardo DiCaprio as Amsterdam Valiant, a man whose father, priest, played by Liam Neeson, was an Irish Catholic immigrant leader of the gang known as the Dead Rabbit. Priest was killed by Bill Butcher. Amsterdam's motive this whole film is cliched. Also starring in this film is Daniel Day-Lewis as William Bill the Butcher, Cuddy. Bill is the leader of the nativist gang made up of second and third generation Protestant immigrants who feel they have more of a claim to this great nation than the fresh off the boat immigrant. Bill's beef this whole film is essentially hatred of Catholics and foreigners. Religious conflict is an old world issue still seen in Ireland today. The final star of this film, of the main cast anyway, is Cameron Diaz, and she plays Jenny Everdeen. Everdeen is the love interest of both Bill and Amsterdam. The love triangle is a shoehorned story subplot and has no real effect on the story. On to my review. I'm a huge fan of gangster movies, little known fact, and I admire Mr. Scorsese's work. I've seen everything from Taxi Driver to Goodfellas, from Gangs of New York to Shutter Island. What I liked about Gangs was a hard-charging story. I liked the little details that made up every scene. For example, the old faded words on the shop windows, and the costuming was perfect. Everything from the top hats and facial hair to vests and boots, it was nearly spot on. Speaking of facial hair, I'm really jealous of Daniel Day-Lewis's mustache on camera. Very vaudevillian. There are parts that seemed unnecessary. For example, the scene where Amsterdam and Jenny interact at a dance. As previously mentioned, the whole love story, I could take it or leave it, as it didn't add much to the story. The way the camera captures the details of the environment is amazing. The color scheme in the first half of this movie is beautiful, despite the fact it's more cool colors than anything. The second half of this film, colors shift from cool to warm, which this is also when Amsterdam begins to recruit his own dead rabbits to take on Bill the Butcher. The last scene in the first half of the film is the Butcher's realization that Amsterdam is Priest's son, which is a blow to him because Bill mentored Amsterdam and took him in as if he were his own son. Amsterdam had begun to question his place as an avenger, but the Butcher's attack pushed his indecisiveness towards kill. When Amsterdam is forced to take on the Butcher, there's an element of relief, both for Amsterdam and the Butcher. I found this interesting because it was as if Amsterdam had to kill his father. When the time finally came for the Butcher to die, as Amsterdam hesitated. The Butcher died because New York City was shelled during the 1863 draft riots, protesting the Civil War. This film glosses over the riot and the volume of people that were killed, mostly African Americans, were killed in protest of the Civil War. Much like the film, I'm glossing over it too. Bill was injured by an artillery shell and was finished off by Amsterdam. Spoiler alert. There are copious buckets of blood. That sounds like a death metal band. Which, it's gruesome, but the weapons used in the film and during the time would have caused very similar wounds, I would imagine. The violence depicted in the film is fitting and not overdone. Scorsese may make gory films, but it's okay in this instance. This film is not for everyone, but for people who like it, who would like it, they should watch it. Overall, I would give this film a 4 of 5, only because of the slightly rushed parts in the love story. Overall, I thoroughly enjoyed the film, and I would highly recommend it. I would also highly recommend the sources I used.